my card has expired.
And, what do you have, like a circuit card, or what is
my player card from like 3 years ago? Because I never used it, but my account's all the same. I don't know. I got to basically ask them like, hey, I've been here a bunch. Can we get credit for it?
I've got 6 of those in Vegas where I've been there very sparingly, but I know that I have accounts with them. Like I know
I never go to any of the places on the strip. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So that's you got that is a true dad talk. The dad to Gen talk. You have Dad's Bet Baseball. I'm Adam Rosenberg, and with me as always is my co-host CJ Buskey, aka Slippin' Jimmy. CJ, the heat is on. What's it like? How hot is it for you guys right now? It's 100 here. It's got a push notification that it's indoor pickup for daycare.
96 right now for daycare. Yeah, it's 96. I think it's supposed to get to 100 tomorrow. So we've already been to the park today. We knocked that out like first thing this morning, and it was I think like 84 degrees, and it was 7 o'clock.
The big fight that I got wasn't really a fight, but the big discussion I got in with my wife was taking my daughter to the pool after this, like later today, and our dog's also having surgery, so it's fine, just having teeth removed because he's old and his breath smells. And then going to the pool, but she said it's too hot for the pool. And I'm just like, well, why do we pay for a pool?
I said the same thing about the splash pads. Those are free, but I was like, well,
we have one of those too. Pads. We have a sprinkler.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. But the heat is on, which means it's moving. We're moving out of this, maybe moving out of the dead ball pitcher stuff. I'm certainly not jumping to bet at 100K props. You want to, let's kind of talk a little bit about, we are in that second wave, the true baseball wave right now. There's multiple games on the schedule today with 100 degrees at game time temps.
Yeah. This is my favorite time to bet on baseball because as you know, I like betting batter props much more than I like betting. I'm getting need more coffee today. Betting pitcher props. I know you've had a lot more success obviously on the team total and the pitcher prop side, but I like being able to cap batter props a little bit easier. And now we're into that. We're definitely, we are out of jacket season. So there's no more.
We're out of jacket season. I don't even know what my jacket is. My jacket is in the back of my car and it hasn't moved for a month.
That is now officially over unless you're, I guess, in San Francisco. But I was interested to see how many of the games this past weekend went over because I must have been on maybe 80% of them. I had a great weekend totals wise playing. Interestingly, I came to see, so the totals going through the games this past weekend, you had 7 that went over on Friday. You had 8 that went over on Saturday. You had 7 that went over on Sunday. So 15 games for each of the days. You're hitting basically 50-50 on the under and the over. So in terms of like the immediate sort of, are we seeing a ton of overs right away? Super small sample, but wasn't like, 75% of the games are suddenly going to hit over. So I don't think it's like go immediately rush to bet overs, but also I think there's a lot more games that you're going to be, I'm seeing way more in like the 9.5.
Well, that's the key thing is that, we're out of the 8.5 area, and you're probably going to see mostly now 9.5s, 9s, and 10s, and stuff like that. Yeah, 9. Like April and May are like 7.5, 8.5. You saw like 9. Like no, that's the big thing is that the numbers have definitely gone up. I mean, there's like 3 totals today. I'm seeing 3 totals today that have 10, like or 2 that have 10. I mean, it's just, and one of those is this Reds game is a total of 10. It's 100 degrees. This Orioles game is a 9.5, like 100 degrees.
There's not a single total actually today that is under 8.5. And the lowest quote total is 8.5 minus 110 to the over. So the Nats, essentially the market is implying every single one of these games should be closer to 9 or higher.
Yeah. And the reason why, so that everyone knows that like it's a key number, why 9, right? 8.5 is a key number is because you can't have a game end 4-4. And so you can't have a game like, so when extra innings and these things happen, like these are the key numbers to kind of look for. It's sort of why you generally want on, you want to have the odd number plus, because like a 9.5 is actually better than an 8.5 because you have the result is kind of baked in, because one team, if you're tied, one team scores more than the other. So for me, I'm starting to get back into batting season. I really think I think Ronald Acuna hits. I'm betting specifically Ronald Acuna to hit a home run in his first at bat, like extra base hit. I'm not interested in him against anybody in the Mets bullpen, because apparently he actually has really bad history against them. But I'm doing a couple more of those as I look at things. But what I'm looking at is I am specifically looking at pitcher earned runs over, just across. That is my. I'm not in K-prop season right now. It is Chad Patrick. I think could deal against some of these Pirates, but overall, it's while we still have them 2.5s that are -110 for pitchers is what I'm doing, because we got a heat check. We got Colby here. Question in chat: thoughts on how everyone will be a baseball now that NHL and NBA are done? Long-time listener, love you guys. Have a day. Well, it's the market's about to get flooded with a lot of people, a lot of know-it-alls. So we just got to get ready.
I mean, look, I tell people, like, if you're not betting baseball consistently, go read a book. Like, go find some good reads. Go enjoy your family. Sit on the beach. If you're gonna try and come in, especially this late in the season, and handicap, God bless you. But I think that's probably a fool's errand. The market. So earned runs is interesting on the. I've seen a lot of like 2.5s. In terms of kind of most of what I see from the pitchers there. I've been playing a lot lately. I know you kind of, I feel like, dip your toes into this market every so often. The team total bases. I'm looking more so at the team total extra base hits.
Yeah.
That I have seen a lot of. First off, for me, if you're seeing a 2.5, it's almost an automatic, unless the juice is really heavy on playing that, because I think the average number of extra base hits so far, even coming into June, was like 3.2 per game. So you're already basically at the median sort of mean average of extra base hits. A lot of these you'll see is around the 3.5. Like you can go, for example, to the Orioles, Rangers. I just have this one up randomly right now. 3.5 plus 115 for the Orioles, plus 105 for the Rangers. I think that's a kind of a good market if you want to. If the earned runs, necessarily you're not getting a good price. Obviously, what's going to lead to a lot of earned runs? There's going to be a lot of doubles, triples, home runs. I haven't seen a lot of team total home run markets since we kind of nerfed that earlier this season, but that's another way to sort of get around.
Yeah. It's the thing is I've noticed that the total basis has crept up. So for example, I wanted to do the Angels today. Actually, I think I'll probably now do the Angels extra base hit overs, but there's key numbers for total bases. Like 12.5 is a key number on the total bases, because if you think about it, unless you walk in all the runs, you got to get at least 4 total bases have to kind of happen so that somebody, or at least 2, like back-to-back doubles or something like that, need to happen. So that would be 4. You need that to happen to score a run. So 12.5 is usually implying a team total of 4. And now I'm seeing 13.5 for the Angels, and their team total is 4.5. So it's actually like not great. And I'm using friend of the pod, Hall of Fame Bets, who have a web app now, by the way, who we'll show on a future episode. They have a web app, and you can just look at the total bases and then use code DADS. But the total bases, you can see they'll constantly hit 12. They don't hit 14 because it just doesn't happen. But yeah, that's extra base hits is a good call out there, because it's actually a better way to play the home runs market, which is now gone. So
I mean, this is also too, like, if you have guys that, if you want to bet multiple, I mean, there's a lot of scenarios where there's games where I like multiple guys on the same team to hit a home run, but I'm not playing several of the, like, I'm not playing individual bets on multiple batters on the same team to hit a home run in that game. There's too much.
Oh, really? You mean you're not that kind of, you're not a Twitter tout that's going to play 3 guys in a lineup and at 2 units?
We are not book it with Trent here, but that the way you can play that sort of cap though is you can still bet, the guy that you like the most to hit a home run and then go for the extra base hits, because that also is just, it's irregardless. You're basically just saying, I think this team is hitting well, or there's several guys on this team that should be able to get under the ball today. The other thing I'd say with the Heat piece before we sort of like wrap this up is that pay attention to, this is getting a little bit more nerdy, but like really pay attention to the pull and oppo rates for some of the batters, and especially the parks that they're playing in, because for, again, if you've got a guy playing in Fenway and you've got a right-handed hitter who's a pretty high pull rate, that ball's going to carry more, and you're going to get a better price, for example, on the double. You're always going to get a better price on just a double than you will to hit a home run. So it's an extra sort of step that I'm probably deploying a little more at this point, but the pull and oppo rate specifically, and then trying to see which batters are, have more tendencies to, pull or hit it to the opposite side of the field, you can actually get a little bit of some, I would think, an additional sort of insight or something to key off on that.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and this is a good time to switch our segment to talking about our website, talking about Handigraphs, because we have that on the website. Boom! Oh, look at that! Look at that! For those of you that are listening to this as a podcast, you have to envision a board with a lot of numbers and a lot of data and a list of pictures, and it's blue and red. And you could, here's the ASMR of you hearing the sound of my voice talking about blue and red. But if you're watching this, you can totally see what we're talking about. But right now I'm on the pitchers stuff. And if you go to our batters tab, this is like a really good example. I'm going to use Ronald Acuna because I just think he does whatever today. This is exactly what you want. His pull rates and his center. You basically want guys that are in good form. Their pull rates are are higher than a third, are in 35% territory, and their center stuff. Spencer's reminding me that I gotta tell everybody, blue is bad, red is good. It is the opposite of life. But so anyway, Acuna's pull rate's great, and his center rate is great. He's basically hitting to the ball and getting the most of the power out of that. He's not getting a ton of oppo, which is fine because he's hitting it. He's using his body the exact right way to get the ball there. So some of this is also watching it and just knowing that, but this is also part of the reason why I just think that Ronald Acuna is just going to absolutely deck one today.
He's also got a 1.2 OPS so far this season. So
last spot.
You could honestly just look at that and go, okay.
Yeah. He's probably going to do it. So, all right. So what we wanted to do though, we wanted to use this segment today. For those of you who don't know, Handigraphs is our dashboard that has pulled data. We wanted to have a place that could have all the data that we could use to cap any sort of baseball game, all our baseball bets. You have it starters, you have it team stats, you have bullpen, you have batters. We didn't want to keep going to different websites, so we did this. On top of this, one of the things that and when I say we, I mean CJ, because he is the tech load behind this. I am just the mouth. Is that we created our own proprietary split that's in here. You can't find 30, 60, 90 last plate appearances, and that allows you to get, I think, a better granular look at a batter and a pitcher form than you would when normally you would see on any website, hey, here's how a guy's been over the last 2 weeks, or here's how a guy's been over the last month. These big periods of time, plate appearances against types of batters, it's almost the next iteration, in our opinion, of a heat map, and there's a lot of cool ways you can use it, and we were going to kind of talk a little bit about that today.
Yeah, before we run through kind of an example of that split, because I will call out, you can get the last X plate appearance. Like if you go to Fangraphs and you go to, let's say, Cal Raleigh's game log, if you start playing around enough, you can get the number of plate appearances. The issue with that is that you have to do a lot of tinkering in order to sort of get down to that exact number. Whereas these splits are, you just immediately go, as Adam's just showing right here, like you have last 3 games. If I want to go to a player's game log, I've got to figure out calendar wise. I think that's the biggest difference between what Handigraphs does and what, if you go to Baseball Savant, Fangraphs, sure, you can get to the information, but you do have to, it's a much more in terms of calendar date based splits. And you have to figure out when those players played. Obviously, there's times when the players get hurt. You have to kind of try and figure out which games they missed in that sense. So
double headers, all sorts of things.
The whole concept of this is not necessarily, some of this data, yes, like there's some stuff you'll see, especially on the starters page that Adam's on here, like last 30, last 60, there are some splits like data, for example, like expected batting average, slugging, that is not calculated on a plate appearance basis anywhere. But the whole goal is to save you time so that you can quickly go to a dashboard like this and say, all right, I got 20 minutes before, my kid's waking up from their nap. How can I go and find the pitcher who's most likely going to strike out the side in the top of the first inning? And you can immediately go to this dashboard and do that. So I think that's what we're going to walk through now.
Yeah. So I think this is what's good. And for those of you that were like, I was coming here hoping that we would have you guys would have a guest that was going to make jokes. Colby will be back on the show very soon. We promise. We're just literally taking a break from having any guests that are associated with Chicago because we had 6 straight episodes of Chicago-based guests. And Colby, who is pretty much the unofficial 4th member of this pod at this point, will be back. I know that's what you all want. You will get it at some point, but we're going to actually just talk about the site because what we want to do is show everybody these that we're almost at the midway point of the MLB season. And I think that folks that can use this site can basically find, oh, wow, this is really helping me out. So CJ and I are both going to find things that how we can use it that are fun markets that you can end up betting. I'm going to start with first plate appearance K or even first plate appearance home run, as I'm thinking with Mr. Ronald Acuna Jr. today. So the first place what I'm generally doing when I'm going to Handigraphs is I'm starting with the last 3 starts. And then I am getting a little bit more granular sometimes when I want to see last 3 at home or last 3 away, because sometimes there are people, I only care about home road splits for pitchers and 1 baseball team or 2 baseball teams, the Tampa Bay Rays or 3, Tampa Bay Rays, the Colorado Rockies, and the Kansas City Royals. The Royals, because they're cheating, and because the Rays and the Rockies have home ballparks that have very different dimensions than they do anywhere else. And you could argue the A's do too, but they've kind of evened out. So that being said, sight lines matter on home and road splits for pitchers, which affects their control. It affects their strike zone. So that's why you get guys that are usually younger pitchers that are nasty at home because they're very used to the coaches and stuff that they have at home and the sight lines that they have on home plate and everything around it. And they're able to block things out. That is just one of the ways to use it. So keeping it simple, we'll go last 3 games. I look at who has a very high K percentage, but I'm also looking at dudes that have high swing rates on their strikes and called and whiff rates. And basically the guy who looks like he is the best one. There are 2 that look good today to look at because I want red in all 3 zones. We have whiff rate here, which is great for this. Chad Patrick, Spencer Schwellenbach. Those are the 2 folks that I really care about right now. Comparing with their regular season stuff. Schwell also has red in those 3 areas. Chad Patrick, blue, but it's his crazy at home. So taking that, I means that I want to look at a Pirate and I want to look at a Met, but let's use Chad Patrick because it's going to be a little bit easier here. So Chad Patrick, I look at then his splits. Is he better against righties or is he better against lefties? He's much better against righties. So now we've filtered this down to, I want to find a right-handed batter on Pittsburgh. Going to then the batters tab, I can use the right-handed, the last 30 plate appearances, who is in terrible form. I look up Pittsburgh and then I look at the K rates of the last 30 plate appearances versus right-handers. And boy, oh boy, do I have a lot of good selections here because I got in the batting order of their top 4 guys are all.
Are we looking at season stats for the Pirates right now?
No,
this is
just the last. They scored 12 runs yesterday, and this is still the worst. The top 4 batters in this game have K rates above 25%. O'Neal Cruz is terrible. So I think I would venture to say he's the worst. He's the most overrated pitcher or most overrated batter. I want to double check it on his last 60s plate appearances. Yeah, he's gotten worse. So his last 30, he's in especially bad form. O'Neal Cruz and Andrew Hutchinson have all blue, which is just saying they're just not making contact with the ball at all. If I look at their last 5, it's O'Neal Cruz is completely blue. So he's not even hitting lefties if you throw those in there. So now what I have done is I have filtered truly awful form of a specific batter. And I have a pitcher I know is really good with K stuff against right-handed batters. O'Neal, final decision. O'Neal Cruz will be getting first plate appearance K today from me when that market opens. I rest my case. CJ?
Boom. That's it. See, you just capped it. I should have put the stopwatch there to see how long from start to finish. And you talk a lot too. So like, if you're doing this at home, you're not going to be talking as much as Adam as you go through this. So it's probably like half that time. So yeah, I mean, the cool thing too here is like, if you go into Cruz as well, like go back to right-handed pitching and click that split. There's also a lot of stats are available on the site that you can see like leading indicators. So we have a glossary on the site. You'll see like there's a learn tab. If you ever go to that, there's like definitions for each of these metrics. If you're confused, I certainly would recommend like when you're using this, like start with one market. Don't try and encap 6 or 7 different things right away. Like start to figure out what are the metrics that you care. We say this all the time, like figure out the metrics that you care about, focus on that market, and then figure out other markets that you know or kind of have a better understanding of those. But like back to Cruz, we have on right-handed pitching, if you go click the batters tab real quick again.
Yep.
We have a column there click right-handed pitching. So we have a column for called strike whiff rate, which is typically a leading indicator of K rate. So if you have a really high CSW,
bad. I'm sorry. I just used 30% on the season.
That means these are basically what is the percentage of appearances where there's been or pitches rather where there's been a called strike or a whiff in that same plate appearance. And you can see like 36% of
in his last 30 plate appearances.
And his last 30 plate appearances are that. And then the K rate is also awful. So I look at that and go, okay, well, that K rate makes a ton of sense. Whereas if you look at like Brian Reynolds, that K rate there might be a little bit of variance there. He might have been a little bit unlucky, maybe on either some calls or, in general, there's some other things that can potentially influence a K, and he's not necessarily seeing as many called strikes or whiffs. It could be a lot of just kind of quick counts as well. So like, that's just a quick kind of example there where you can say, if I'm seeing red next to blue, all right, maybe that K rate, there's a little bit more variance with it. But if I'm seeing, too dark red or too dark blue, not only does my leading indicator kind of tell me that there is something up here, but the result is also saying that. So just kind of makes you, I think, a little bit more confident in what you can end up trusting with some of the data.
One of the other things that I do on our site is I use our filter tab on here, and I do a K rate greater than or equal to, I do 25%. Because I know that that's dark blue, and I'll take the entire batters that are available today and I'll sort by team. And then basically this is last 30 plate appearances against a specific hand. It's really good against like lefties because you get people with really bad lefty splits. The risk you run is that they get lifted a lot of times, like the Jock Petersons and stuff of the world. But what I like to do is this is a really good way to go through and say, okay, which teams have a lot of targets that I would want to take for a K prop, or I would want to take for something else, for outs over, outs under something. So good example, look at Boston. So Jack Konowitz today is Kokanowitz or whatever, DP God, by the way, is not a strikeout pitcher. His line is at 4.5 at the over. But if you look at Boston, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their 9 everyday players have K rates in what we consider very bad over the last 30 plate appearances. And if you do it by last 5, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the 9 guys on the team So if you wanted to just go and build a parlay of just, hey, I'm going to build a parlay of like guys to get Ks and not care about who even is on the other bullpen side, which you then can cross-reference, this is the way to do it. But having that saved filter, like putting that filter in there and doing that, that allows me to find with the plate appearance stuff who's a target on a team that's going to probably strike out a lot. Like if we're looking at lefties right now, I know Erod's like doesn't have the greatest K stuff right now, but the White Sox, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of 9 players on the White Sox have K rates above 30% in their last 30 plate appearances against lefties. Might be like you might get crazy value on an Erod K ladder today, you know?
Yeah, it's just one of the things I love. This is also a good opportunity to say, you know, Handigraphs in a vacuum. Again, you can use Handigraphs to cap a bunch of props. If you have if you want to go look at a hit rate for a specific team, so that example for Boston, you can go and see there's other apps out there. I know Hall of Fame Bets you can see at least from the team side on the hit rates for that, but you can go and look
for the team Ks and stuff for the market.
Team Ks, great. You can see how often, regardless of the pitcher, have they gone over their team K prop number. And so you can use Handigraphs here as sort of like the starting point and then go in and sort of validate it through that. The other way that I think this is really useful, and another reason we had built this was I still use this, not as much as last year, but a constant sort of thing that Adam would needle me on was very heavy to using projections the last couple of years with player props and games for baseball. I kind of base a lot of my cap on, well, my projection or my model says this is what the number should be. And it was more kind of just trusting the variables that went into the model. So what you can use this for, to me, though, is we've said this before on the show, use a projection to maybe tell you a few interesting things to go look at. But then you can actually use Handigraphs to really get under the microscope and see, okay, does this make sense? Am I getting there with that projection, or is there other things that I'm kind of seeing from K rates, hard hit rate, et cetera, that backs that projection up? And I think one of the most frustrating things you can do in betting sports in general is if you have a model and you just aren't winning and you're not sure if that model is based on, is it just variance? Is it the inputs that I'm using for a model or the projection? And you really are just kind of only looking at that end sort of 1.7 total bases to blame your bet on. But if you can look and say, hey, if you go at Acuna projected at 2.8 bases today, for example, you come into Handigraphs, you can within about 30 seconds say, all right, I get why that number is the number it is.
Right.
And that also, I think, can clear up a lot. You learn, I feel like, as you go by doing that, even if you just want to start and use projections to kind of find the bets that you want to go look for.
Yep. I mean, it's somebody to make a line, someone had a model somewhere to do whatever. And this kind of helps you really find overall edges on things. There's wow, look at that. If Walker Buehler were lefty, huh? There's everybody on the Angels still Ks against lefties. So that's it's just a good way. I'm going to do it today I'm using Kachanowicz as an example. That dude had struck out 8 Yankees, and Red Sox are K'ing as much as the Yankees. You're going to get crazy value on him to do it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good ways that we can splice and dice on this stuff. And I know that we started this off by saying it's hitter season. I went immediately, how do you strike guys out? Is there stuff that you want me to show folks that you've been looking at on some of the batter props, and we can do that? And for those that are tuning in, just to reset, those that are tuning in, this is a very special episode of Dad's Bet Baseball, because we want to show you one of our kids, and that kid is our Handigraphs, and we hope that you enjoy it. We hope that you go to the site and subscribe and use it, and we hope that it helps you win bets, and we hope that it also gives you context into some of the things that we talk about each week, because we are usually citing stuff that is from the data from this, which, again, this data is publicly available data. We just put it into a dashboard to make your life faster and easier. But this way, when we're saying, hey,
we just kind of
we Voltroned it, and we just want to make sure that you guys are using it so that this team stinks. And why does that team stink? Not just because Adam says so. No, they actually do. So, all right. Anyway, CJ, take it away.
Tie it back to the extra base hit stuff, because I can kind of quickly show you how I'll go to look for teams that I feel like are good values there. So there's two ways. You can either go like we can start honestly on the batter side, and it's actually really similar to what you just did from the K like how you're just kind of sorting by K. I'm just going and looking strictly at. I'll go in and sort, don't even filter, but just go and sort by ISO.
I do this when I look for a home run bet. I just take ISOs that are higher than a certain amount.
So I'm looking for, okay, so what guys on do I have like 3 or 4 guys on a specific team today that have really high ISOs against that handedness of a pitcher? So like, you can see on for, and again, the last 30 plate appearance is also good for this too. So, you've got obviously James Wood, you've got Nathaniel Lowe up there. The one that's actually interesting to me, though, is probably a couple of the Mets guys. Like you've got Soto, you've got Nimmo in there. If we scroll down,
Nimmo is because, and I made a calendar reminder for next year. Nimmo, Juneteenth, Nimmo gets very, very upset and hits a lot of home runs around it. So I've marked my calendar. I marked it last year. I forgot, but next year, just know that Brandon Nimmo gets very upset on Juneteenth week.
Let you figure that out on your own, I guess.
People can Google it. So Trevor Williams does too. Keep going.
So, but a couple guys on here though. Is Dean Kramer got a start upcoming? Because there's been a lot.
No, that was yesterday. The Dean Kramer geopolitical start nailed it yesterday.
Okay, all right, yeah. We always bring that up as if Israel is getting involved in something. Go
the angry Zionists in my DMs.
Go bet on Dean Kramer. But like you've got a couple of Mets there, and then what I'll do is if you go and actually click on Atlanta, you don't even have to go to the starters page. Just literally click Atlanta as the opponent.
I didn't know you could do that. Oh wait, this is new to me. I didn't know that.
Boom. So it takes you right to the start.
Wait, time out. When did you build this?
You got to follow the announcements in the Discord. Yeah.
I did a couple weeks ago. This is great.
Yeah, it just automatically takes you to it. So now, in this case, I see a couple of Mets. I'm looking at Schwellenbach, and I'm not even going to look at versus right-handed batters. I'm just going to go to like +3 or last 5. But you can see, is there a pretty high hard hit rate and barrel? Like, you can actually scroll over and see like ISO against. And if that number is not super high, 185, that's actually a little bit higher than
it's below them. It's about the median for the league.
But for him, it's a little bit higher. But anyways, so I could quickly say, all right, look, there's some guys for the Mets that are hitting a bunch of extra base hits. Matchup today isn't necessarily fantastic for them from that perspective, but just kind of going through one by one on that, where you just go back to the batters tab and say, okay, well, like which other teams had, 3 or 4 guys with really high ISO in terms of extra base hits, and you will find a pitcher or 2 or 3 that you're going to have somebody who has been giving up a lot of barrels, a lot of hard hits, a lot of fly balls, line drives, and then you'll have be able to kind of quickly match and merge for some of those different players. So like, who do we have on? I think there's a bunch of Cubs in here too. Right? So you could also just add the filter as well. So like,
I just did a filter for it to make it easy.
Actually, just twins are interesting. You have 4 twins
specifically for righties.
So if you click Seattle.
Yeah,
and a Twins opponent, because they've got 4 guys, and then take out the filter because it will add a second filter there. You have to just take out the one. Just take out the one. There you go. So then, so Wu, right-handed hitter, pretty high FIP. His barrel rate 9.4%, and if we scroll back over to the ISO against, just quickly see like what has he been doing in his last 3.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah, go to the starters.
Against. Yep, there it is. Yeah.
All right. So he's almost at 200 again. So like now, and then if I go to, I'm going to just kind of exit full screen and quickly just see like, what is the extra base hit line? Because if that is plus money for like 3.5, I'm going to like that quite a bit for the Twins. So I'm in let's just see the green.
Yeah, the Twins. Here. It's a good one. I mean, the Twins just had a terrible weekend series, but
let's see extra base hit. Oh yeah. So I mean, now there's a ton of juice on this one. So maybe see if you can wait till it gets to it's over 2.5 minus 175. But like, okay, if I don't play that solo, maybe I'm throwing that in a parlay or something there. that I could potentially use, because you've got 4 guys that have been hitting right-handed pitching quite well, and you've got a starter that tends to actually give up a bunch of extra base hits. So yeah, that's
I didn't even know that we had that. I didn't even know we had that, and it's awesome. Cubs are not hitting lefties very well.
There's a lot of stuff on here. Like you can.
I didn't even tell you. Look at that. It's our site, and I just found something new as soon as I.
This site actually started with literally Adam and I just talking about him going into Fangraphs and trying to select manually every single pitcher for the next day, and then talking about, well, which guys are the leading in hard hit rate allowed. So I just built like a super simple web page that just showed starters for tomorrow, and then you could sort by hard hit rate, and it's grown quite a bit. It's like I said, it's our baby. It's now.
I found one that we want. I found one we want. We want Angels over extra base hits.
Extra base hits. Yeah. Oh, 311.
There's like 4 guys. Really There's like 4 guys on the team, and Walker Buehler is disgusting. I mean, one guy is doing it well against righties, but the overall team is just kind of clubbing the ball.
Oh, that's even a better price actually than the Twins one, because they're 2.5 minus 160. Still haven't made it to 3.5, but
yeah, I like the wait. So who's 2.5 on the Angels?
But okay, so the Angels are they playing the Angels? Okay, but see, like 2.5 minus 160, you can also get doubles over 1.5 plus 125.
Sure.
So, if you don't want to,
whether you want to get real micro there,
yeah. Then
nobody on that team is fast. So, no, it's cool. That's it. That's what I got on it. I like it. Now I'm excited to put in. I have a couple bets now that I want to put in. And it's a weird slate today, so our options are a little limited. But this is, I think, super helpful for everybody. It's kind of the primer on how to use our stuff. And should we move to the normal screen, or should we?
Yeah, we can go back. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right. So you guys just got like a solid how to use some Handigraph stuff. Some announcements are going to come out over the next week and a half, and we will be back later this week with more of a regular episode. We basically just didn't want to talk about either the NL or AL Central again, and we didn't want to talk about teams that we think are dead or not dead. Braves, by the way, still dead. Red Sox on life support. Orioles, I still think are dead, but whatever. All right, so should we move to dad moves, or do you want to check? You want to talk about future market? What do you want to do?
The only thing we could probably keep this quick, because you and I talked about this a bunch last night, but just for if people's eyes glazed over at the last segment, I'll give you a little bit of some juice here, which would just be, if you're looking for a future market, the Rookie of the Year market. Haven't talked about that a bunch, mostly because I have no really idea what to do with it, and also I don't think there's really a lot of prices that are super appealing in this. The only player for the sake of this exercise I wanted to just talk about, because it's timely, is Chase Burns at 20-1 worth a bet.
It's not good. It's not a good enough number for me, knowing how the Rookie of the Year market fluctuates. First of all, you want to get these guys before they make their first start or after their worst start. My example is Luis Gil last year. Luis Gil was awesome out of the gate, and then he got hurt, and his number went to 101 in July, because they have no idea how to price these markets. And these guys, Mistrowski is plus 190 right now, and I'm sorry to all the Milwaukee Brewers fans, but there's no reason for him to be plus 190.
Christian Campbell was a significant favorite for this,
and he was demoted.
He is 100 to 1 currently.
So my point is that this market moves like crazy. I would rather wait. I like Chase Burns a lot. I think pitchers have a much easier route to winning Rookie of the Year than hitters do. There's a little bit more of a profile that you need. You need like 15 and 70 home runs and then RBIs. I think for a pitcher, though, if a pitcher's coming after this month, they don't really have a shot because they're not going to get enough work. But right around now, some of these guys coming in, I would wait till Chase Burns. I'm going to wait till he has a bad start and then I will buy. I'm not interested in really any rookie of the years that are lower than 40-1 because these are darts.
PSA, if you are looking at this market either for AL or NL, and that batter hasn't debuted yet, cross them off. They don't have their. I'm telling you right now, they will not have enough games to win this award. And the only player that has, I have to go back and look at the exact number. A lot of people will throw out Yordan Alvarez. He still, I believe, played almost like 80 plus games the season that he won Rookie of the Year. So, and that was, I mean, he was on a complete, utter, absolute heater for that season. So if there's a batter or a prospect you like, that you haven't seen come up yet, just automatically throw them out. They're not winning this award. I think the only players that could get, and I think also if it's a pitcher, they got to get called up probably here, I would say within the next few weeks. I'm looking at you.
Skeens was end of May for people that are curious.
Yeah, I'm looking at your boy Painter, Andrew Painter there at 50-1. I just don't think he's coming up in time. So it's that's just a call out there. But yeah, do not bet Jacob Mizrowski. Don't bet Jacob. Bad price.
The numbers aren't there. The numbers are there. I mean, the profile for a pitcher to win Rookie of the Year is not like 7-2 with like 45 Ks. Like it's like these are Kerry Wood type of things that need to happen. Like you have to absolutely have those vanity metrics with it. And Mizrowski does not have that. He's got a very attractive 100-mile-per-hour fastball. He also is a K/9 with BB that's not great. So, and isn't
somebody that fits this profile. We're absolutely not betting him because we have his under, and we both personally don't think he's very good. But Roki at 80-1. I mean, this guy was the preseason favorite. So
So here's the thing. I know. I'm
not betting this. I just want to clarify, but he does fit the sort of the mold of somebody that's like priced way off and could absolutely still win the award.
Yeah. He could. Well, I think he's going to come back and shove. To be clear, the same thing happened with Yamamoto last year. He's not even my favorite rookie on that team. Kim is my favorite rookie on that team because he steals bases.
Yeah. I agree.
But I agree. I think that. I mean, look. Snell's going to come back, and I think Snell's going to shove for 2 months. Dodgers are getting a lot of dudes back, by the way. We might want to do an episode about the Dodgers soon because we don't talk about them a lot. We might.
We could. We haven't really given the NL West a lot of love.
Let's do that for the next episode.
We did talk about the Giants, but let's definitely hit on the NL West because there's some good stuff that we have probably been missing on that division. So
okay, all right, let's move some dad moves. Let's see. Because I know that we just did a show on Friday. Let me see. What do I have as my overall dad move? They always end up merging with like being a good husband or partner, but
good husband.
Yeah, really. But I don't know. My dad, my dad move of the week is to have a plan for something to do with your kids to feed them a day before. It seems to score the most amount of points with a wife or partner. For example, yesterday I'd already decided what the kids are going to eat tonight, which is going to be grilled burgers because it's so hot and it's just one less thing that my wife has to worry about. And she's ecstatic that I had the ability and foresight to think, I will get burgers and corn to very easily put on the grill and spend 10 minutes making so that you can do anything. So my dad move of the week is meal prep. It's a good idea. You don't even need the kids for it. Meal prep is just.
I'm going to cheat on this a little bit because I kind of want to use your dad move, but just maybe a different flavor of the dad move. Which is think of recipes for your kids and your wife that involve literally just putting in the oven. I mean, this sounds super basic, but like for example, last week I started making these like chicken fajitas. You cut up peppers, cut up onions, cut up the chicken, throw that pan sheet in the oven. You're done. You look like a hero. And this took you probably 10 minutes to prep. And putting meals in the oven is, it's just one of the kind of quickest wins that you can get in terms of like dinner prep. I know we had a dad move earlier, which I still am on board with. Is like, hey, get out the grill. If it's 100 degrees out, don't do that. But that obviously allows you to go and, kind of get some time to yourself. But another kind of easy win is just think of a lot of recipes where you can just like throw it straight in the oven, let it cook, and you didn't have to do that much prep, but you're going to still get some kudos for it. And it wasn't a lot of work.
That's the solid one. My wife sometimes overthinks what the kids want, and I'm just like, they don't have a vote. They just really get to eat what they want to eat. So, or what we're going to feed them. All right. So this, sorry for folks that are like, this is really boring, but if you actually are tuning into a podcast called Dad's Bet Baseball, you probably found a lot of this really interesting. All right. So a couple reminders again, Hall of Fame bets, hofapp.com, at HOF app, use the code DADS. You get your week free and half off your first month. We love that app. It is fantastic for the team markets we were discussing, which as you are getting more into deeper parts of the season, you can find really good edges that way. I actually found a couple team strikeout markets I think I'm going to bet based on stuff from our site, handigraphs.com. And you should like and subscribe and share us with your friends at Dad's Bet Baseball on YouTube, on the X. We don't have a Blue Sky account, but we really should. Just across the board, and tell everybody that we're great. And yeah. So look for CJ, he is at Dad's That Bet, and I am Adam at Hey Rosenberg. Spencer, who is an awesome producer, is at Spencer_Ray. Ray is RAY. That is it for this episode. We appreciate you guys coming by. CJ, what's the last word on this super hot day?
Splash pads.